Oh, an ice beam. Ha! Nothing. What are you gonna do now? Get out your little sword arm.
No, I'm gonna get out 2 of them.
Help me.
Oh yes, my fellow hunters, welcome to some more Rise Goodness, and today, well, it's maximum goodness, because we're getting ourselves a goddamn Goss Haraga hunt, and he is just so purely wonderful. Of course, taking place on the Frost Islands. The first thing of note is a quick visit to the tent for a quick look at switch skills, though there will be a full video later completely breaking it all down in depth for every single weapon. But as a quick TLDR, there are 3 options of 2. The top 2 change how the base moveset of the weapon works, and the third one is a choice between wirebug skills. It's really quite a neat little system and seems a lovely way to customize how you're doing. For example, Charge Blade here sets up for what is essentially Savage Axe mode, so you really can completely alter playstyles. Anyway, let's zoom on to the hunt. Now, the Frost Islands, then, is the nest of a big-ass dragon, and given that there's a huge Zora school with a Dragonator in, I'm gonna guess that perhaps it's something to do with Zora, but it's really nice that there is these little details to pick out in the environment, and honestly, I'm really excited to just explore them all. The director has said there is lots of secrets to find, both in the actual world around you and the endemic life that inhabit it, and you know I am all about that. The zones themselves, I know we've seen them in a few hunts, but we get to see a huge sweeping snow shelf where Goss Harag is first targeted, and let me tell you, the start of this battle is truly legendary! So yeah, he's not having anything to do with it, but that's okay, because we get to have our water bout, and water bout it is. The first thing I will note, though, apart from just how purely badass he looks, the white fur cloak aesthetic, the demonic yokai face, he really is just brutal. Even just the pinprint glowing yellow eyes, it really does kind of get that shimmering mask aesthetic with something much more sinister underneath, but no, that's just his face! And then his big meaty mitts that provide big meaty hits to your hunter. He's just an absolute brutal savage, and you can just feel the force and weight behind him. Though, he is a lot slower than I was expecting. Obviously, when we see him annihilate Tetranadon, he has got some speed to him, but against the hunter, he is very deliberate, a lot of wind up, a lot of wind down to his attacks, very much seems to be, well, quite manageable. I am hoping, based on how fast this guy dies to relatively low damage, that this is either like a low-rank nerfed one or one specifically for this hunt showcase. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of worried that Goss Harag might actually be a low-tier monster. Perhaps the best one they've ever done, but still, please let him be actually really, really strong somehow in the main game. In any case, we are using, of course, Nargacuga gear to fire him down, so that is quite effective. And I will say, a standout attack is him jumping behind you, turning around, and setting an earthquake slam line towards you. That is really, really cool. Then Tetranadon does indeed come for a visit, but sadly does not get to turf war, despite these 2 monsters being in direct competition with each other, and us seeing they do, in fact, have a turf war. But we do get a different kind of turf war in the form of a Wyvern ride fight, and it's very, very cool. We've seen Tetranadon's Wyvern ride before, and it is quite an awesome one. The fact that you can leap into the air with him and do the big slam down. Here's a Punisher being this gigantic, destructive water beam. Honestly, I think it's my favorite Punisher that we have seen, and generally it gets a lot of good old damage in on the now enraged Goss Harag, who is just looking beautiful and deadly with the flush red scales. I mean, talk about having his blood up, my word. So, the hunt continues, and we get, well, this.
Dear God, it's beautiful.
Oh yes, not just one Ice Blade arm, but 2 ice blade arms, dual wielding them. And this is not dual blades, okay? I don't care what you say. This is dual wielding great swords. It is absolutely insane and one of the single greatest mode weapon monster attacks that I think I have ever seen in the series. He makes both his arms giant ice swords. How are we in a position in Monster Hunter that we can say the monster makes both his arms giant ice swords? It makes Velkana's tail spike look just downright adorable.
Well, I never.
And with these out, he is truly that much more ferocious. Obviously, being able to throw both of them at will, do various slashy attacks, generally just make all he is that much more intense. And it's just so wonderfully intimidating. It really is. Goss Harag is an absolute triumph of a monster design. It then gets Stinkmink Lord over to a poor Lagombi who really doesn't want any part of this psychopath ice sword bear. But the hunter is having none of it and instead forces them to have, a little argument.
Well, hello there, Lagombi. I was wondering where you got to. Please leave me alone, Goss Harag, please.
And then we get our Lagombi Wyvern Ride, who is, fine, doesn't do the best job at trying to take on a Goss Harag, but the Punisher is very cool. We get to slide back and forth, ending in a big jump slam for, quite effectiveness. We also get an Ice Blight applied to Goss Harag, which doesn't last too long because, he's an ice sword, ice-breathing ice bear living in an ice map with a giant fur cloak that is really good at resisting cold. But the fight doth continue, and his swords come back out looking absolutely swish as he swishes them around. And what I love is that he doesn't need to throw them, he can just swipe at the air and send waves of ice before then launching the sword itself, and he gets Wyvern Road bopped in to a wall. And at this point he's really not long for this world, sadly, but we do get one little cool feature, which is a Palico gadget. And Palicos, of course, may be lost in the world of Palamutes, but this one is really cool. He wants to help out his hunter, of course, his Meowster, so what does he do? Quick, Palico, I'm injured, I need help!
Sure thing, boss, let me just get out the watering can!
What? And water he does. Makes the quickest healing plant grow ever, and initially it kind of works like the Vigor Wash stations, except it regrows after a while, so you can just have this, maybe endlessly, but at least a few times usable healing station to pop and get some goodness back. And this is a good example of what I was hoping to see, which is quite potent Palico gadgets, because they have to be to make up for losing the mobility of a Palamute if you choose the Palico as your one companion in a multiplayer hunt. In any case, we get quite the awesome finish, and Goss Harag is slain. So there you go, everybody. That is a quick little look at a Goss Harag hunt. He is, on one hand, everything I wanted him to be: powerful, terrifying, a destructive, psychopath ice bear force of nature, and I cannot wait to experience him. But on the other hand, I was hoping for him to be, a bit faster and a bit more of a challenge, but this is, of course, a demo hunt that we got shown, so it might be low rank and a particularly easy Goss in the first place, so I will reserve judgment until the actual game. Irrelevant of anything, though, he certainly is still cementing his place, at minimum, as one of my top 10 favorite monsters, and I've not even hunted him yet, so that's pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. Like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.